Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another workout. And today was Dynamic Effort Squat and Deadlift Day. This tends to be my favorite day when I don't use the safety squat bar, mainly because I love speed pulls. I love deadlifts and I get to do 20 singles. To me, that's as fun as it gets. Now, people are going to notice I'm back to chains. And a lot of what I'm doing these days, as far as conjugate training goes, I'm falling more into what I know to be the traditional conjugate, even as some of the better coaches out there write it even for raw lifters, mainly because I know it works. And I did do a little bit of experimentation kind of with my own stuff, and I ultimately concluded the normal way of doing this stuff is probably better, meaning the 3-week waves. And rather than change all the bars, I'm going to pick the bars that I know work best for my current goals and rotate the waves of chains and bands. You know what? It works just fine. Just like I'm doing the squatting and deadlifting, very similar now with their max effort stuff, as people will see moving forward. I think it works fine. It works fine. It works well. And you know what? I've already been bringing my squat up. Deadlifts are coming back up. My squat is pretty much the strongest it's been since I've been on YouTube, and I'm doing that now in my 40s. So that's going to keep moving forward. So the system is working. No need to reinvent the wheel. And this is a very malleable and adaptable system anyways. And that's why I'm going to keep calling it orc mode, because my version of it, I'm just going to call it orc mode training. Because ultimately, guys like Westside have their own names, and that's their marketing, but I like the orc mode. Because again, it's just kind of my spin on it. My spin on it is just the choices that I make with my exercise selection and my own style. But the programming is essentially the same. The main programming is not really deviating from what guys like Louis Simmons and all of them advocate. And a lot of people will say, well, that doesn't work for raw lifters. It's like, really? Because go look at guys like Burley Hawk, who writes stuff for raw lifters as a West Side guy, and I've seen him do 800-pound deadlifts off of a 4-inch deficit. Okay? I'm going to say that's pretty good raw strength. Pretty good raw strength. And I'm going to say anyone who can squat more than 700 pounds without wraps or a suit has pretty good raw strength. Right? I think that's a reasonable assumption. So it works. But the speed work today, for those curious, yes, that's a lot of chain weight because that's what we're running. My current box squat max as of this week is 502. Right? 502. So that's what our percentages are. So I need 25% of that in chain weight. Because when we talk about percentages on chains for speed work, people are thinking it's a percentage of your bar weight. No, it's a percentage of your max. Everything is calculated off 1 rep maxes. All strength standards in the world are calculated off 1 rep maxes. These are too. So this week in the wave is 50% max plus 25% chain. Now the band days I might do it a little lower. Specifically on the bench press I might go a little lighter because I need the speed, and I'm going to use a Buffalo bar, which is again harder with a deeper stretch. But for the squatting and deadlifting, we're going to stick with their traditional stuff. And I messed with the 5x5 a little bit, and I think I want to mess with 3x8 more again for the speed work. I like it. I feel like it's more explosive for me, and especially when I was doing stuff like the sets of 5 with a safety bar just killed me. I don't think it's necessary. All right, we can come back down to 3s and focus upon compensatory acceleration completely, because I'm going to be doing more volume work for quads anyway. So on my max days, I'm going to be doing more rep work on squatting and step-ups and stuff like that anyways. So again, it'll be fine. We're ending up on Prelepin's chart where we want to be. Our percentages are right, and I'm happy with it. And these speed squats felt good today. I'd like them to be a hair faster, but I need to be faster in general. But I'll live with them considering the percentages. They're based off of my new max, so this is definitely a weight increase over last time I've used chains and all this stuff. So I'm reasonably happy with it, but I still know that I want to be faster. I want to be more explosive, but we get there by training for it. And I am getting faster and more explosive, right? We're doing the box jumps. We're doing all the speed work, getting it all dialed in. But all in all, I'm happy with it. You know, the training felt good today. And actually, everyone I chat with who is also another lifter who's been messing with these sort of systems, they complain about, wow, how do you do this if I try to do it and I'm out of breath and panting? And it's like, you guys have to be in shape. And that is something that anyone who does this system of training knows. You have to be an athlete to do this training style. It's a training style for athletes. If you are not in shape, you are going to struggle with the dynamic effort days. And I cannot stress that enough. If you haven't done conditioning work or general physical preparedness work, you don't have a good resting low heart rate, stuff like that, you are not going to be able to do this stuff. You'll say, what do you mean? Well, look how many sets I'm doing. What do you guys think my breaks look like? Those squats, I take 90 seconds. These deadlifts are 30 to 60 seconds apart. All 20 of these deadlift singles are done inside of 15 minutes. They're done inside of 15 minutes. Okay? This is fast. Like all this speed work is about 30 minutes of training. This is 30 minutes of training. And that's to get the 8 triples and the 20 singles. Right? You got to do this stuff quick. This is higher density training. And you need to be in shape to do it. So conditioning work is absolutely vital. And that's an integral part of this training style, along with all the volume and everything else. And anyone who's ever used a system and claims it doesn't work, including me in the past, let's go ahead and rectify that. Let's talk about me messing it up. Not doing enough volume on the assistance work. Not doing enough general physical preparedness. Like anyone who thinks that this is low volume training is the same people who failed on it. Anyone who's tried it and failed are the people who are calling it low volume training. Well, they didn't do it correctly. They did the speed work and the max work. Well, if you're in shape, you're going to have to continue to do general physical preparedness instead of volumes. I can tell you right now, farmers walks and sled drags and stuff still cause hypertrophy. They still have training volume. All right, I do farmers walks 2 or 3 days a week. All right, 2 to 3 days a week, we do farmers walks. So, that's my extra conditioning. I do ab work every day, do core work every day. As part of this system, and all of that's one of the reasons I've been able to successfully recomp, because training volumes are dialed in, but they are high. The training volume is fairly high, and it's been slowly coming up. The GPP work helps, but it's recomposition, because all of it has a hypertrophic effect. Right? I don't do any sort of exercise that doesn't stimulate muscle growth. Right? We don't do list cardio. I don't do any of that stuff. There's no need for any of it. All of your training that burns any calories needs to build muscle or be active recovery of some type. I have no use for physical activity that doesn't. If I am not doing something that's building muscle, which will include conditioning work, because it's higher intensity conditioning work, I'm resting. There's no real in between, and that's the reason I'm pulling this off. This is why I'm getting stronger. It's why I'm gaining muscle, why I'm losing fat, and that's why. I'm not some genetically gifted person. I'm not a genetic freak by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a guy with average genetics in my 40s. Or some people said I have the worst genetics in YouTube fitness. Multiple people have said that. So if we want to take that logic, then I'm genetically below average. And a middle-aged dude. You just got to get your training and lifestyle dialed in, get your diet dialed in. Make it work. But yeah, 20 singles today. You can't see the smaller plates on there, so it might look like 265, but I don't care. Anyone wants to argue about they can't see the smaller plate, so they don't really know how much is on there. It's like, I don't care. Speed work, I don't care. It's not a max. Can't see, you can't see it. But it's the same thing here. We work at 50%. And the 50% is I'm estimating that I think my sumo deadlift is 550. I've only pulled from a deficit, which was 535 last time I tried it. So we got that pretty easy. I mean, we'll test the sumo here pretty soon. We probably need to get a good idea. But I am definitely going to test a deadlift of some type come Monday. Hopefully my thumbs hold up. They were getting a little chafed. I'll wrap them up. Put some Neosporin or something tonight. Make sure they heal so that when Monday gets here, I got a nice good callus on my thumb so I can do a heavy deadlift. Because yeah, I do hook grip. And let's talk about that too, hook grip. I can't get my clients to hook grip. I can't get my clients to hook grip. I wish that I could. Hook grip is really the way to go. I discussed the fact that Pete Rubish talked about that. But we've got to, again, look at the hook grip Allows for the good combination of still grip training. And anyone who thinks it doesn't train your grip has obviously never used hook grip. It's not like straps. It does still train your grip. But it allows for balanced pulling. It allows for good neuromuscular efficiency because you're still having to squeeze the heck out of the bar. Because you have to squeeze the bar super tight with hook grip. You have to pretty much crush that bar, or you're going to lose the hook. But again, that balance pulling on both sides. All right, that's great for recovery, injury prevention, all this stuff. So you can do more deadlifting this way. Like that's the point that needs to be made also with stuff like the hook grip and the sumo and everything else. You can do more pulling volume if your thumbs can handle it. I mean, it's also relative to your thumbs being able to take it. You can get a good amount of volume, man. It's easier to recover from because of the even loading on the back. Less risk of additional shear on one side from a mixed grip. But you still get the motor unit recruitment of the nice squeeze on it that you lose with straps. You lose that with straps, and people need to remember that. There is a certain amount of looseness that happens with straps. There's a certain loss of neuromuscular efficiency with straps. It's not ideal. Don't let anybody convince you that it is. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Like I tell people, look, if you feel the need to do sets with straps because your grip is giving out, go do good mornings. Right? Because if you just need an extra hip hinge, you're not deadlifting anymore if you're not holding the bar. Right? That's not a deadlift. You're not deadlifting if you're not gripping the bar. So, just go do some good mornings. It'll give you the same effect you want. It's easier to recover from. But yeah, the 20 singles on this today, I was happy with it. And that's the thing, man. I felt good during this workout. My energy's good. Recovery's good. And everything's coming along. Everything's coming along. After a good PR this week, that was the main thing too. It's like, had that great PR on the box squat this week. I mean, I'm hungry for more. I mean, yeah, I know that's a solid PR. It's the best we've seen me do in a very, very long time. But I know there's more in the tank. I just have to keep moving forward, keep working, keep putting in the work. Keep putting in the work. Keep building support musculature. Make sure my abs, my lower back, my rotator cuffs, everything are strong. Everything needs to be strong. All that support musculature. And a lot of my training volume is built around that. You guys are going to see more and more and more rep work. Because as I do a lot of this stuff too, because I handle all the speed from the speed work and I handle all the max effort I need from the singles, I'm starting to see less need for me to do lower reps in general because it's all covered with this. It really needs to be about getting enough training volume to keep hypertrophying everything. All right, and normally I wouldn't agree with that. Some stuff I'm going to have other videos coming out on that I've already done. I'm so far ahead on informatives. They're going to be a little while coming out. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. Most of the benefits we get from triples and fours and things like that, we get from singles also. Right? Usually that's a hybrid type of training. Like if you do 10 sets of 3, yeah, you can gain maximum hypertrophy and good strength, right? At the same time, all in one go. But you gain more strength from doing singles in terms of your 1 rep max strength. So you might as well just bring the workload density down. You can cut your total workout time by doing 8s and 10s and stuff if you're doing heavy singles every single week with it. All right? That's kind of the key to that. If you're not doing max effort work, you're going to need those triples. You need those triples and 4s and 5s. You don't need as much of that once you're actually doing real max work. You still need as much of it. But it's nice to get back to the chains again for the speed work. I've been doing the bands for a little while, and I think the blocks are going to work good. Then we did box jumps. I went up 5 pounds on these today. We skipped warm-ups. We didn't need the body weight stuff because people ask, do I do any of these off camera? Yeah, I warm up before squats with box jumps every time. I did some box jumps with just body weight before these, but we don't need that. This video is going to run so long with my work sets. We don't have time for warm-ups. But so I just did with a 20-pound kettlebell, and I was, I'm a 220-pound guy. I've been 218. I was up to 220 this morning. Water weight's going to fluctuate a little day to day. It's normal. 220 with the 20-pound kettlebell plus whatever my boots and stuff weigh. Not bad. And again, remember, this isn't maximum jump height. I'm not testing my vertical. We're just using this for, again, dynamic work, explosive strength, getting better rate of force production. And I only do these weighted on this day. Sometimes I do body weight ones, sometimes on other days. It always is a squat warm up. But the weighted ones are really done on the dynamic day, because this adds into my dynamic work, and I want to maximize it, and I want to make sure that we've got all of it available. I want to make sure that I've developed maximum speed, strength, and explosiveness on this day. All right, so this is the day that I do the weighted ones on, because that's the goal. You know, and I think this has helped. I think this does show stuff. A lot of people commented on this. They were not expecting me to be able to jump at all, and I don't know why. And I think a lot of that comes down to what people say about me on the internet isn't always based on reality. You know, always people say stuff like I'm out of shape or whatever, but they don't know that. They assume that, and people just say that without any evidence of it. And then they realize that I am actually more athletic and do more athletic stuff than people realize. I just don't always show it on camera. So now we're showing some of this on camera. You know, and it's the same with all the farmers walks. I don't feel like filming all my farmers walks. I don't feel like filming my GPP work. This is my normal training. That's just my conditioning. I mean, I do it, and it's obvious that I do it, or I wouldn't be in the shape that I'm in terms of my conditioning with my lifting. So, you know, it is what it is. But, I mean, people make these assumptions, and these assumptions aren't always based on reality. So to finish off, to make sure my thoracic erectors and posterior chain and everything are good, we did 5 sets of 12 on the banded safety bar good mornings. And for those curious, yes, I followed through at the top. I actually humped the bar at the top. What I tell people not to do on the squat, I do on these. Why? Because I want to follow through. This helps me with the deadlift, and I snap against the bands. By doing that snap against the bands at the top, it helps follow through on the deadlift, because I'm trying to, again, use these for building speed strength. We're getting that little bit of overspeed eccentric. A little bit on these. It's not super intense like it is on some other lifts. And that's another point someone brought up. They're like, oh, why are you doing these? Just why don't you just add more plates? Because this isn't about adding more plates right now. If I'm doing these heavy, if I'm doing them for max work, we might do that. It's not necessary. I'm trying to create overspeed eccentrics. Trying to, again, get used to that snap at the top, because I'm not doing these hamstring dominant right now. Hamstrings are getting work. There's a stretch reflex on the hamstring. But a lot of this is I'm trying to work against the overspeed eccentrics. I'm doing these more for a little bit of speed strength and for follow through. Right? I want to be able to follow through on my deadlifts with my hips, with my erectors, all of those things. All of those things. If I start doing them differently, it will be a little more maybe squat specific. But I also need this because I'm still in the situation to where I still have a little bit of thoracic rounding when I go all out on a squat. And I need to make sure my T-spine is strong while I continue to bring up my quads. And I want to make that clear that this is a safety net for that. This is not a cure for that. This is creating a safety net so that I ensure that my T-spine is stronger and can follow through as necessary while I correct the muscle imbalance, which is my quads being weak. So I need to continue to get my quads stronger if I want to get to a 550 or 600 pound squat. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.